Hello, guys, and welcome back to Same Old Podcast, episode six. Six?
Great. We are at episode
Oh
six.
my God, that's come around
It
so
is
quick.
crazy.
I love that though.
Um, Me too. I hate the fact that I cannot hear you know how I can hear myself really well, like through the
Yeah.
mic, and now I can't.
Oh,
So, hi everybody. It's Lauralie again.
wait, your headphone, wait, your mic's gone off. Your mic has gone off. What have you done? You're like, hi,
I
it's
can't.
Lot. You're like, hi, it's Lot. I was like, girl, your headphone's gone. It's okay. Get it fixed next
I
time.
feel like the lighting is going a little crazy over here
I know we're
too.
going all different today. Like my hair's up for this podcast. I haven't had my hair up this whole podcast. I've had it down the whole time. It feels weird. So if you're on YouTube watching me, my hair's up. Yeah, it's for the first time.
You look so good. You should
Thank
have
you.
told me. I could have had my hair up with you. I feel like it would be so much better.
Oh, you're cute. I mean, I
I
tried
feel,
to have it down,
hold
but
on.
it's way too frizzy right now. Stay in a
Babe,
little
how
pineapple
how
bun.
are you?
I'm good.
How are
I'm
you?
good. Like things have been really good this week. It's been hectic. Like it's been pretty hectic. I'm going to the UK in 10 days. Um,
Oh my
so
God, okay.
yeah, so I'm excited for that. So I mean, it's still like a while away, but I'm just like getting ready for that. I think I'm going to be there for about a week and a half, most likely. So which isn't long, but it's obviously because it's like 8 hours away on like a plane. It's like a lot. So I'm just like, right, get this ready, get this ready. I need to get all clients done and this, that, the other. So it's a lot. Like before I travel, I'm like, I don't want to try and like wing it. I want to try and like schedule it. Right. I need to be here at this time. I need to be here at this time. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I've been sorting that
Yes.
out. This week's been good. Not much like haven't really been doing much like socializing this week, which has been quite nice because last few weeks have been very like social. Just been getting my head down in the gym, doing my thing. Like it's been quite like nice though. Um, I don't know if you get that as well, where you're like, it's kind of nice to not use your social battery in a way, like where you're just like, I just can be not talk to anyone like in the day and just like go do my workout, come back and like watch TV or do my work and like not, you know what I mean? Like not socialize. But I obviously love to socialize. But I think sometimes when you're just like, I just need me time. That's what this week was.
Good for you. Because I know that Max is away and
Yeah.
it probably was like a good hectic because it was like really
Yeah.
centered on like everything about you. So I'm
Hmm.
sure like the distance kind of like does, it's the good and bad, but at least you focus on the good, which is like allowing you to like be more focused on you and like
Yeah.
creating that little space that you want and like the traveling and organizing and oh my God, I'm such an organizer. I do those like to-do lists. I write down to-do lists like about 10 times a day, like
Yeah.
just because I love to-do lists. It's
And
so
on
great.
my notes,
So
I'm the same. Like I also like if I'm going, I mean, the UK is different for me because I know my hometown, so I know where everything is. But if I'm going to somewhere new, I'll be like, what's the best coffee shop? What's the best like bakery? Like what's the best like do you know what I mean? Like I'll look up things like, okay, we're planning where we're
yeah,
going. If I see something, then I'll
for
obviously
sure.
add it in. But like I'm such a planner. Like I love doing that sort of thing as well. Like do my research. Oh, this girl said that this coffee was good and like this time was this good. So I was like, right, I need to like plan. If I'm like traveling, like I want to like make sure I do it right.
If anyone listening right now and wants the best spot, just hit up Phoebe, and maybe she has already traveled to the country that you're going to or the states or whatever, and she can recommend you dope spot because you do have like amazing spot. Like you're the concierge. Like I feel you probably like have the best spot in my hometown. I should be like, Phoebe, what are the best spots for like Middle Eastern food? And you'll be like, wait, I got you,
I
and just
got
like
you.
find out the best thing.
I'll do my research. I've got this. I mean, you're pretty good for post show. Like, I mean, when had that post show, what was it, 2021, the end of those two times that we had, those spots you picked, that barbecue, I think when we were with Aldo, I don't know, where were we? Los Angeles, I think it
And
was. LA?
no, Phoebe,
Yeah, it was LA.
like
It,
Texas. I was
no,
not
no, no,
Texas.
no, no. It wasn't Texas. We've never been to Texas together.
It was in LA.
It was in LA, but it was not like central LA. It
Oh,
was like outside, like and like not like you land in LAX and then it
oh
was
my
like an
God.
hour Uber.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Close by the Disney World,
Yes.
Disneyland.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know where that is, but obviously it was
Oh
definitely
my God,
LA.
that's, do you remember that show? Oh my God,
That was a
that
crazy
was so
show.
much fun.
That was a really
That was
fun
just
show though.
crazy though.
That was a lot of fun. It was really
And
like
we were,
hectic. Were we about to say
do
the
you
same thing?
remember?
Yeah. It was really hectic. I mean, it was just it was I think it was because the only reason it was hectic, so I think because it was like in the midst of like COVID time still. So the venue got moved. Do you remember? Like last minute. And that week, oh my God, the memories come
Yeah.
back now. That week, I remember we were like texting like, babe, the venue's moved. And you were like, shut up, no, it hasn't. I was like, yes, like book this hotel. This is now the athlete hotel now. Oh my God, I remember that. That was so stressful. I mean, they did a
That
great
was,
job of moving everything smoothly, but like that was stress. That was on like a Wednesday as well, having to cancel our hotel and then move it to a different place. God, I mean,
yeah, and it ended up being like such a good spot. You're
yeah,
right.
oh
It,
yeah,
like, thankfully it was, well-known promoters, so
yeah.
like their experience as well. But oh my God, that show was crazy.
Mm,
But that,
yeah.
yeah, that food was pretty amazing.
That food, I think it was
And
like
then
we
that
had like
Brazil,
yeah. Oh, that was good. Like we had like
yeah,
a what was it? Like
the
barbecue, like
platter,
pulled pork and like if anyone's on
yes,
cardio right now listening to us, I
cornbread.
apologize. If anyone's on cardio right now, I apologize if you're in prep. We're just talking about
I
food already.
don't, I don't. Don't you feel like when you're in prep, like you actually, I love hearing people, like I love watching people
True.
eat and I love like looking at people eat. So like I don't apologize. I'm kidding. I love you guys. Hang in there. Oh,
Hang in there.
um,
That's
chicken
funny.
that's it. Oh my God, look at me. I'm like over here. I was waiting and just, like, they
What is
got a
that?
little cookie.
Oh,
Just ate a cookie.
oh, they've started selling those in the convenience store in Dubai. Like in it's so funny because it's in like a pharmacy. I know. It's like pharmacy, health
That's so
supplements, this,
crazy.
this, and then there's a 500 calorie cookie just at the front desk. Like it's got like I don't know how much protein does it have? I think it's like 24 grams, which is actually pretty decent for
I
like
don't. Yeah,
is it
I
24?
don't even know if these are the one that has protein in it, babe.
Of course it of
Hold
course
on.
it's not.
4 grams.
It's definitely not the one
Four
that's
grams.
protein. They do obviously have one. It's definitely obviously they do they again I feel like those types of products obviously they're great, but it's like health stores and like pharmacies and stuff. They're like, oh, it's healthy because it's got protein in it. Slam it right at the front, and I'm like, that's a 500 calorie cookie still, like 20
I
something
know.
grams of fat. Like it's just funny, but they are fire. Those. Which one's your favorite? My cookie dealer cookies.
I love the like all cocoa batter. Then my
Ooh.
second one would be the red velvet, and then the third one, which is like surprising because I'm a chocolate girly. Like I love my chocolate chip, but they have this like peanut butter and jelly time with
That's
like
my
there's
favorite.
like
That's my favorite one. And I tried that at the Olympia because they had boxes. Do you remember? Do you remember us?
yes, I do.
We were
I do.
savages, but it was so fun. Like, and that was the first time I tried that one, and that was like instantly my favorite. Like the peanut butter and jelly one. Oh, that was good. And they're so soft as
Yeah, there's like
well.
yes, exactly because they put peanut butter in the batter as well. It's like not only yes, yes.
Oh,
So speaking of the Olympia, because like you just like put that out there, um, getting close. Like I just spoke with Kim this week.
oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, Kim and I, like, we kind of like keep each other like, hey, I miss you. Like, hello. Like, kind of like, not even like that much about bodybuilding most of the time.
Yeah, you
But
have a
he was
close
like,
relationship.
yeah, I think he's just like kind of like monitoring like my face. And he's like, I want to see how your face look like. Because like,
Show me your face. Let's see
if
what's good.
it's like if I start seeing a pumpkin head, like, you'll know and we can start prepping. But
That's funny.
no, he said like, um, we still have all June, and then July we'll start talking about it, softly getting into
Yeah.
prep, and then August time is really when it's gonna go all balls to the walls, and I'm gonna be ready
Oh,
for it. But yeah,
nice.
it's gonna be August. It's a short prep just because I just want to be ready on time. I don't want like, girl, the getting ready ahead and stuff. Like, it sounds all fun and cool, but like, it's
Yeah,
it's not the same. It's not the same. I feel like when you peak when you're supposed to,
it's so much
it's
better.
I think your skin looks just like nicer. Like everything just looks nicer instead of like trying to maintain for weeks at a time. Like I'm not saying like getting ready I had like 2 weeks, like it's very different. But
No,
like getting ready like 8 weeks before, like 8 to 9 weeks, or like even 6 weeks, like 6 weeks is still a lot
it's a
to
lot.
like hold on to. And then, you can't catch back like the skin and the hormones, all this stuff, so like better off like slowly and like um I waited myself this week for the first time
Oh,
in a long time.
okay.
And definitely on the heavier side, but I'm not, Phoebe, I'm telling you, I'm not thinking about it really that much, I'm not overthinking my off season at all because I know everything is doable, like come time.
Time. Yeah. Did you feel like when you
So
stepped
that's
on those scales, I mean, when you weighed yourself, obviously this week, do you feel like that changed like your perception at all and how you feel? Did you kind of get that? Because you know when you're kind of like a little bit heavier
yeah.
and you're like, oh, like wasn't expecting that number, or like, oh, okay, we're a little bit heavier, but did you feel like that was like, okay, now I feel like, oh, I don't like not like how I look, but you're like, oh, I feel a little bit self-conscious or anything at all? Do you feel like just like it's a number? I'm happy, like for anyone listening on Spotify, she's holding up the cookie right now. That obviously is a did not change my perception at all.
I forgot that we have this there. So, um, here's my answer to that. It didn't, and like
Good.
honestly, it felt so powerful too, Phoebe. Like
That's
looking at the
good.
scale and just be like, "Cool,
Mm,
bro," and get out and just like get on through my day because I feel good that day. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't change. I still ate my breakfast, the same thing. Like in the past, not gonna lie, I would skip the breakfast. I'd probably cut the carbs on lunchtime. I would be like, oh, let's do like a zero carb today and just like a one meal only. I would get so into my head,
mm,
but then it's like so ridiculous. Like
yeah.
instead, I just went through and then I don't even think I even trained that day, to be honest. I have a massage, like my massage and stuff, and then the next day I had like a really good workout yesterday. Um, and that's it. Like here I am. Like I just felt like eating a cookie. You know,
But I think
and
that's really
it's
good
still
though. I think that's really good that you are in that place where you know you've progressed with your own mental state with where you're at. Do you know what I mean? Because it's so hard to see the scales go up versus, oh, like I think society in general, if the scales are going down per se, it's a good thing. I'm doing the quotation marks. It's a good thing,
yes.
like that's always been like,
Uh-huh.
okay, that's progress, that's good. If the scales go up, no, bad, that's really bad, So like initially when you step on scales and it is maybe heavier or whatever, like you're like, oh no, like I feel like I've lost, like I've done something wrong. But you haven't, like, and again, I think that, like you said, it's really powerful that you do feel that way because it's not controlling you. Like it's not like a weight, the scales isn't controlling you. Like you're controlling your own perception of how you look, perception of how you feel. Like you're not letting that plastic or glass or whatever the fuck the scales are material wise control your life. Do you know what I mean? Like it's easy to get wrapped into that though.
Oh my God, so quick. And
Mm.
you're so right. I mean, it always depends, I think, like when you're in prep, like how you're measuring your progress. And if you get lost into measuring your progress through like the scale only and don't understanding really the scale, like the scale is measuring your weight, which is composed of bones, it's composed of water from inflammation, it's composed of like a lot of different things. And so when you read the scale, you actually read a number, like there's never going to be as reliable as just the look and how you feel. And right now, my only focus is living life a lot, staying healthy. Um, that's honestly it, Phoebe.
That's good
Like,
though.
like hopefully hitting like my protein macros because I'm still a bodybuilder,
Yeah.
but I don't get crazy about it, which in the past I would totally. I mean, you know, protein and then stop eating because it's just, my God, you get so much into your head and it's not enjoyable anymore. Like nothing is enjoyable anymore. And then you start, feeling hungrier than you actually are, and then you start binging. And I feel like all of that is just like a really big cycle once you get emotion involved into your body, like how it looks.
Mm,
Like it should be really how you feel
yeah.
always.
I think it's good to
And I
have
feel
that. And
great.
yeah, and I'm glad that you feel great. Like, I think that's a huge thing to feel. You shouldn't always put the I feel great because I'm lean. You know what I mean? Like, you should never kind of be like, I only feel great when I'm lean. You know, like, I think that's always something that, I mean, we asked a lot of questions. We've got a lot of questions within this, segment today because we asked you guys what do you want to know about for us transitioning from off season into prep. You guys have gone in, and I mean the one question that's come up frequently was like, how do you get over like that feeling of not feeling good enough in your off season or not liking how you look because you are softer? And I mean my answer is like trying to not think the perception of prep is the goal life wise. Do you know what I mean? Like the goal in prep, like the prep look is for stage. That is it in my mind. Like I've always said that, and I think obviously you can say leaner in your off season if you want to do. That's absolutely fine. Like honestly, you can look the way you want to in your off season. You can bulk if you want to and look like a muscle mummy, like, or you can be leaner and like show off your like definition. Absolutely fine. Try and make sure that obviously your goal is intact and obviously you're progressing towards your goal, but it's not a case of, I need to be this amount of weight up, or I can only look like this in my off season, or do you know what I mean? I feel like that it shouldn't specifically be like that. I personally think anyway. And try and not attach yourself to, oh, I only feel worthy or good when I'm lean. Don't get me wrong, when you're lean and you're going into your off-season phase, you'll probably feel a little bit like, uncomfortable. Your body's not going to be used to, the foods that you've been having. You might be having, cookies, a little bit like a few of the foods that your body's not used to. And even if you're not, like your body's going to not be used to having that much food like straight away. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like you have a little bit more information. You will get a little bit, softer. That's okay. It really is. And I think we really need to try and kick this stigma of I need to be lean all the time or need to be defined all the time. Do you know what I mean?
100%. First, like ladies, you do not need to be anything. That's first. You need to be yourself. And I think if you want to keep prepping for the rest of your life because you do enjoy it so much, or you feel safer in that place and you enjoy it, which what I mean is diet wise, training wise, nutrition wise, you keep the same thing consistent all the way through the years. I've known competitors that done that, one that really well, and it works for them. But don't get surprised. I'm not surprised when I start eating bagels for breakfast that obviously I'm not gonna look the same on stage because I don't eat bagel during prep. I
Mm-hmm.
don't get surprised when I eat bagel for breakfast and then my cardio is reduced to like 10 minutes a day or like zero compared to 30 minutes to an hour every single day. I don't get surprised, but I'm just embracing those consequences wholeheartedly. And consequences is such a bad word. I'm just saying like the,
No,
the
no.
repercussions are like, like that. And I'm embracing it like wholeheartedly because I'm like, wow, this is how my body is treating me, quote unquote, while I'm answering my craving, I'm answering like my wants and my needs, basically.
Yeah.
And I just let it be. And I think it's honestly so incredible what a human body can do. And I know my ability to shut it down and just be like, now the craving is the prize, which is the Olympia, and it includes no more bagel. And I don't get attached to a
Yeah.
bagel. I get attached on the goal. And the goal for me is to compete at the Olympia and look my best, which doesn't include bagels, sadly, but they shall be back. And they will probably be back because I love these bad boys really good. But for now, it's just a shift. It's just a
Yeah.
shift. Don't I am just as happy eating my dry ass chicken breast or and as happy as I am eating, you know, a great barbecue with mac and cheese and cornbread,
Yeah.
in all honesty. And I think once you're ready to go and do that, that's when you're ready to prep. And I think that's where you find longevity, is just finding yourself, understanding that no emotion should ever be attached to anything ever, because either or can be really toxic. You know, if you're so attached to like a physique and like so emotional about how you feel towards a physical look, that can be really damaging. I'm very attached right now and very in love with the fact that I wake up ready to go in the morning. I answer my craving right away by food, and sometimes like I impress myself. I'm like, wow, like today I honestly just want to eat chicken with rice and vegetables, and that's just like I'm just being honest with myself. And you find so much power in that, Phoebe. I don't know if like you're there in your journey yet. What I'm talking about is very recent for me.
Yeah.
Um, but that symbiosis is just that like I don't know if it's even because I do care. It's not like I used to be like no F given mentality of
Yeah.
season, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But I'm no, I'm very much aware and I'm very much like working on it, celebrating it. Like there's a lot of like celebration towards it too, and like seeing the weight on the scale. Like I dodged the scale for a while because I was like, I don't even want to see it because I'm not sure if I'm ready for it to like even see the weight
Yeah.
and be completely unbiased with it. And I saw it and I did my thing and I was like, wow, like I'm really somewhere like in my life that I never thought I would reach, in all honesty. Yeah.
And I think that's like we said before, it's so powerful to be in that position. I personally feel like you said before, like you feel in, I think the good word is like in sync. You feel like very in sync. Like you're like, do you know what? I feel like I want to, be doing this today. I do feel like obviously, you know, there's a lot of people, especially at our caliber of competing and stuff, obviously are very on it 24/7, but I also do feel like well, actually, no, pull back. I feel like a lot of people at our level are a lot more relaxed because they need to take that time off because then when they are in the prep, they are fully in it, because they need to be balls to the wall mentality. Do you know what I mean? And I do feel like
Yes.
obviously, amateur athletes that are getting to the position that they want to be where we are, they're like, we need to have this mentality all the time, like prepping wise. Like I need to be prepped 24/7. You know what I mean? Do you sometimes get
Yeah.
that vibe in a way?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it's again like part of being experienced in the sport or not. I do think that I'm able to speak the way that I am and like celebrate the growth as much because I've been through it all. The
Yeah.
binging, the starving myself, the following stupid programs, like going to the gym twice or three times a day, overworking myself. Like I've done it all. So now I'm able to like be a lot smarter about it, but not only smart, but so productive into damn like off season, but productive like towards life.
Yeah.
Like how can I do life within bodybuilding and like bring that into like symbiosis and just um, it's very gratifying and very powerful and again like something that it took a while,
Yeah.
took a lot of ups and downs, and I agree with you. I think most of the pros, they just know their ability of just when they go in prep, it's just that like beast mode
Yeah.
situation.
Like at the moment, like I see like, you see, Jen Dory resting. Like she loves to go out, have her food and like relax a little bit, like from what I can see from her Instagram, And then you've got
Yeah.
other people as well. Like there's so many other people as well that take their time off, their downtime, because they need to, because they've just done it's a huge prep that they've obviously done. And I do feel like the same obviously with amateurs as well. They go through huge preps and they're obviously I think it's good to be good with reverse and kind of get back into the swing of things and keep that routine. We're not saying that you should be like, no, just do whatever you want post show, because like that's not the case obviously, but I mean we've been doing it so long, we kind of know where our body sits at in a good
I
place.
mean, do, okay, Phoebe, do you agree with that, what you just said?
What,
Like,
the
do you agree
reversing and
with just,
stuff?
yeah, because you're like, it's not about do whatever you want. Like, with what, like, why you say that?
So I say that because I think not obviously one shoe fits all one person, you know? So I feel like
Yeah, yeah,
some
yeah.
people need that guidance post show or they will go off the rails. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
Like, so it's not
yes.
not saying because I know kind of I guess my we know our limits post show where we know not to kind of go where we know not to go overboard, if that makes sense, with eating foods, this, that, the other.
Do you know your limit though? Because you've reached your limit
Yes.
and like
Yes.
see, so like
100%.
it's bodybuilding. It's like it's hard because does Jen knows why she needs rest now? Because probably like she reached a point where she knows that she needs the rest. But I think there's a very real thing to like going through your own journey and just kind of like embracing it. And I'm so happy. I'm so glad I started this sport without knowing a lot of things because like knowing things sometimes can really mess you up.
Slow it down before you've obviously done it yourself in a way. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like yeah, exactly, right? So like that's why I'm telling you this because I feel like you obviously you work with a coach that like it's like um very intense
Yeah.
about reverse dieting and like a certain weight and blah blah blah, which like that's his thing and like I preach on that. Like Kim is also very you're never gonna see Kim eat sugar or whatever. But am I gonna like Kim is never gonna call me and be like, Lauralie, like those cookies, like never, because he's
Yeah.
like, I'm your prep coach. I'm gonna call you when we start working on getting the Olympia. But I think also there's a part of like trusting because I've done that for a while and
Yeah.
like being professional. But even as an amateur, like I think people who get so into don't do this, don't do that, like says who? Like
Yeah.
there's no time for your pro card. Like if you have to go through like 3 episodes of binging, like God forbid, like I don't want that I
Yeah.
don't wish that on anyone. But
We
if you
don't
need
want
to
that for
go through
anyone,
like
honestly.
if you need to go through like 3 reverse diet to understand what being a pro is, like there's no right or wrong definition of being a
Yeah.
professional. Like we're all so different
Yeah.
and we all target things so different. And like I've been probably 14 different Lauralie professional athletes during my
Yeah.
career because you evolve and you grow. And like there's so much into people want the prize so like right now, but girl, like the prize is built and like, during the journey, like
Hmm.
the backbone that you create for yourself. And then you can, my God, when I'm holding that trophy, it's like the trophy is just like the thing that people see, but like, oh my God, inside it's kind of like
It's
shit.
the feeling
Ooh,
of doing all of that. It's like all of that kind of comes back where you've gone through and through, like you've done the diet, the training. Obviously, everyone on that stage has done exactly that. But when you've been awarded for that, such a great feeling. It's an amazing
yeah,
feeling. So I think
it really is.
it's because it's hard because I do feel like sometimes obviously, sometimes you chase that kind of first place and sometimes you think it's like your way of feeling validated in a way, but it's not. For me, it's not.
My God, no, like absolutely not. Like I
No.
feel that everyone, you should feel like you won the show after prejudging.
Yeah.
Like before stepping on stage, you should feel like a winner the second that you're done with your makeup and you're like, that feeling when you're like, you're about to leave your room and you have your like little suitcase, like that, you should walk towards backstage like you're freaking winner.
Yeah.
Like period, point blank. Because you are here today about to step on stage and like get judged. But like after that, like after the judging, the trophy, the no trophy, no trophy, the celebration, all these things, like they don't matter. Like what
Mm.
really matters is like you brought yourself on that day, like you told yourself you would do, in the best possible way you
Yeah.
were able to do it. So,
I feel like the best trophy, this is so cringy. The best trophy, like, is the feeling versus the actual, do you know what I mean? Like the feeling of actually being on there, on the stage, being like, I couldn't have done any more. And
yes,
that's the best feeling. I feel like that's the trophy for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, don't get me wrong, and I'm
1000%.
not being like blindsided or anything at all. I love the feeling of winning and getting in that top five or whatever. Like I like that feeling, but I love the feeling knowing that I brought my best more than anything. That's more for me, that feeling more than anything is like the best feeling, you know? Um,
Yes.
and I think obviously, like we're saying, like everyone is different. I think it's the same with prep. Every off season is going to be different. And I feel like it's so hard to be like, how do you deal with it? Because like I'm dealing with this because like everyone's different. We could say something and that you not completely relate at all. Or we could say something and then obviously people do relate and like they're like, oh, okay, cool, that's okay. You know, Phoebe and Lauralie went through that. So I feel okay, you know? So that's why we're kind of like wholeheartedly just having these discussions. Like I do believe in like reversing for a type of person. Honestly, I feel like reversing for me I personally don't like it. Like for me, I'm saying for me, like I prefer to eat to when I'm hungry, which isn't like loads post show, if I'm honest. It will slowly increase, but I feel that's where I feel most comfortable because my hunger post show is like sometimes can be so high. So I feel like, okay, if I've had my meal and I'm still hungry, I'm going to have something else. It's not going to be like
Yeah.
shit food, but it will be like more of what I've had. Or like, okay, I'm going to have more. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm listening to those signals a little bit and just trying to like please my body versus like being like, oh, I'm gonna eat this. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to just, do you know what? I'm a little bit more hungry. I'm gonna have more. Like and not feel guilty about it. I've always been like that, and I will stick to that to the day I die. Like I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, like in an off season or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, it can spiral, and you obviously can kind of go through that binging phase, which I mean, both of us have been there. Now, probably a lot of you listening have also, you know, if you've experienced competitors have probably been there as well. And it's okay to have binged, but as long as obviously you're improving and you're getting better and all that type of thing, that you can only learn from it. You know, don't try because I think me personally, I'm very much the type of person that will sometimes look on the past and be like, why did I do that? Do you know what I mean? But you can learn from it hugely. Like we now know our limits and where we need to kind of be from those experiences, you know? Not saying we would wish it on anyone, but I think we've learned from those experiences. That's kind of the main message we kind of give at the moment.
Yes, I think the biggest takeaway is that you and I, Phoebe, we believe in everything. And I think it's a big part of bodybuilding because who knows? Who knows if I've only done squats all my life, what type of legs I would have? What if I, like there's so much thing in bodybuilding like that you honestly don't know. And I think believing or not believing, it's so silly. Like, who are you to say I don't believe in reverse dieting? Of course, I believe in reverse dieting. I believe in reverse diet. I believe in if it fits your macros, not because I believe it works for other people. I know it doesn't work for me,
Yeah.
but I believe in it because obviously there's been like proven results. Like
Yeah.
the Raja Hill is probably like the best.
Yeah.
Like hopefully we'll have her on there because I think like having her would like honestly show the difference because you're kind of like flexible-ish, I
Yeah.
want to say.
I would say I'm
I'm very
flexible a bit in not massively in prep though, mainly
not
in off season.
massively.
No, maybe in off season, but like prep is pretty standard because I like we're the
It's
same. Like I'd rather have a pop tart when I can have two or a
the whole
full
thing.
one versus half. Like there's for me it's just no point. Like we spoke about this on our last podcast. There's just no for me. I don't feel the point. Like I want food to satisfy me fully, you know, like and get the
Right,
most from it. And I feel like that wouldn't give me the most.
right. But like it works for her. So like I think people need to understand like you like believing in bodybuilding is believing in everything because we're all different. We're all different bodies. We're all going through same, different stuff. Like it would be so silly to close our mind to like a certain thing.
Yeah.
I think you just really need to go through it. And in this part of my journey, it's and you're part of the journey. Like yours is pretty solidified because you've honored that belief and that journey, which is yours. And I think it's beautiful. For me, it's kind of new, but it's definitely like something that I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep in mind. And it just gets you like more excited for like the whole journey. Like
Yeah. When is
to
it
go
just a bit of a
back into
switch
a
up?
show after like, yeah, I think you just need to figure it out.
Yeah, I think as well, like when we say figure it out, it's like you will figure it out eventually. But I think like you were saying even before, like people want the results now. They want to know exactly what the results, like what the progress you're doing. They want to know what those results will be. Do you know what I mean? Like you could do reverse dieting and still need more muscle. You know what I mean? Like you could still stay lean in an off season and still need more muscle when you step on stage. You know, like you don't know the results until you kind of go through kind of different, I guess I personally think like different types of preps, different types of off seasons. Like you don't know what the judge is going to want, how the sport's going to evolve, all that type of thing. You can't predict. That's the word. You can't predict what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like obviously there's obviously proven things like when you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to probably lose weight. Not everyone does that first. Some people might have different, scenarios. So you can't
Yep.
always predict everything happening. And I think we should take that pressure off being like, okay, we need to do this because this is exactly what's going to happen. Because it might not, you know?
That was beautiful. Yep.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, let me have a look at some of these other questions. Look how many questions there are. So
Oh
many
my God.
questions. Okay,
So crazy how people are so great
I
to us.
love it. I love it. Okay, so one of them was about guilt. I saw that about guilt because I think feelings and emotions, I think this is what a lot of people are kind of saying about like the off season is like the way that they feel or the way that their mental state kind of is. Like there's one girl said, I have experienced a lot of guilt when I eat off plan after my show. Like any tips to get kind of past it, I guess. But I mean, it depends. I personally feel like like we're not your coaches, so we're not obviously going to say like, oh yeah, you should go eat off plan meals and do this and this, because obviously, if you got a show next week and your coach tells you not to eat and you go eat and you feel guilty, that's obviously why you feel guilty. Obviously, because you're not
Right.
supposed to
Yeah.
be. Like that's something you're not supposed to do. But I mean, if you've had that discussion where you kind of have a plan in mind or whatever, I feel like that's my thing. You're like looking at me like, well.
No, girl, like, no, I honestly agree. Like,
Yeah,
I'm glad they're kind of like being a savage about it because, girl, like, if you had a plan and you did not follow the plan, then like, live through the consequences. Like,
yeah,
what are you expecting from us? Like, to tell you, like, girl, it's okay.
yeah,
Like, victimizing
no,
yourself? No, pick your shit up. Like, you are guilty because you had a plan.
yeah,
If you don't want to have a plan, then don't have a plan.
yeah,
And it's okay. It's great and it's okay too. And having a plan, it's okay and it's great too. And if you do have a plan and it doesn't work out for you, then just be honest with yourself and say it doesn't work out for you or try again tomorrow.
yeah,
It's fine.
yeah.
It's fine. It's like people, oh my God, we're so blessed to be healthy enough to do
Mm,
what we do. You're gonna guilt trip on being off plan. Like it's a piece of paper. It
yeah,
becomes real if you do it. If you don't want to do it, tear that shit up and like look at it later. Like it
yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah,
It doesn't matter. Like I'm laughing about it because like my God, like sometimes I want to like we're so stuck. I mean, I've been so stuck and you're so into a plan and so into that idea that pros need to like feel like crappy tilapia, like asparagus diet. Otherwise, I'm not worthy enough. I'm not that pro. Like, get out of your head.
yeah.
There's pros that, like, what is it? There's pros that eat bagels all the way through the prep, and it works.
Hands up if
Start,
you eat bagels and in your off season, don't feel guilt
like,
about it. Me.
no, but like in season, like, it's just, oh my God, I think these poor girls and probably men that are so stuck into
We say
and putting
that.
themselves into.
Yeah,
I mean, putting themselves into it. Like it's like you chose to put yourself into a plan, then you follow it. If you don't follow it, then there's consequences. The
yeah,
consequence is you feeling guilt, and then it's either you victimize yourself or you pick your shit up and you make
yeah,
a decision. Am I continuing the plan or am I just gonna give up because I'm not in a place in my life that I want to follow a plan off season right now.
yeah.
Period.
But I feel like if you flip the switch, so obviously that's an after show kind of scenario. So if you flip the switch, so that's speaking, say, for example, like post show, like still the day of your show. If it's like weeks, months after your show and you're still feeling guilty because you're having food off plan, obviously you need to find the root of that guilt. Like, why are you feeling guilty? I feel like a lot of people feel guilty because they do eat. Obviously we're bodybuilders, we're athletes, we're in a routine a lot of the time, so having your scheduled meals every single day, if you have something out of that plan, that sometimes makes you feel guilty for no real given reason, because you're like, I'm off plan, I'm having a food off plan, even if it's scheduled like on, because obviously I have people that are scheduled that they have an off plan
Yes.
meal once a week, twice a week, whenever. Still, even like people that have that scheduled on, they still feel guilty for it. Why is that? You know what I mean? Like that's why people go through that. People go through that. Like, why do you feel
Okay.
guilty? Yeah, why do you feel
Yeah.
guilty for that? Most of the time, I do feel like because people are so in routine, any kind of going off, like off routine is like, oh, I don't want to go off routine. I don't want to throw me off. Do you know what I mean? Like it's over organization in a way, in some sort of way. So I feel like definitely, like if you're one of those people that do feel like that when you know you're off plan, like you're in off season and you're still kind of feeling guilty about having those like foods, like one, you shouldn't if it's obviously already on your plan. And even if you do have it and it's not on your plan, and like I mean, I personally, one meal a week is going to do nothing. I personally, depending on the meal, if you go out full balls to the wall, it could, detriment something. But like, I don't know, like my favorite meal to have out is like I don't even know what like I like a lot of protein things though, and I'm not being like oh I like clean food, but like a good steak and like potato based food. That's like my one of
Yes.
my favorite meals. Like a really good nice steak, and I'm not talking like fillet steak. I'm talking like ribeye. Like ribeye is my favorite steak of all time because it's so fatty and juicy, and that's like my favorite part of it.
Oh my
And
God,
that's
I can make you such a good ribeye girl.
you
Oh
make
my
so I see your stories all the time, and I'm like I need to get Lauralie to make me a steak one day because they look so good. But anyway, that's for me, that's my like food. And I feel like some people will feel guilty because of the foods that they have, because maybe they'll crave more things after they've had it, maybe like sugars, refined sugars or whatever, or more carbs or something like that. If it's not on your plan, that's probably why you feel guilty for it, I personally feel. So it's trying to, in a way, disassociate sometimes your plan. I don't want to say go off plan because again, you don't have to listen to me. I'm not your coach, but also at the same time, you have to learn how to not be on plan all the time. If that makes sense, to get rid of that guilty feeling.
It's so hard. That's why I like, Evie, I don't know if I told you because I want to start studying psychology because you just said, okay, imagine a competitor that is off season right now. That competitor has a plan. That's what you said. She has a plan, and during her plan, she has like an off meal, like in her
Yes,
plan,
if she does, yeah,
and she feels guilty.
yeah. I mean, this is a
Why does
scenario.
she?
This is a
Why?
scenario. If you feel
Yeah,
guilty for that,
but
yeah,
so why is she having it off plan
that's what I
in
mean.
her plan if she's not ready to not feel guilty about it?
I mean, that's just going to be calories wise, like most likely. Like people will most of the time, I think this is quite common. A lot of people have like off-plan meals like once a week in an off season. But my thing is obviously like you said, why do you feel guilty if you have it's in your plan? Like why do you feel
Yeah.
guilty for it? Um,
Yes.
and I think it's coming down to going off plan though. That's what it is. I think even though it's on your plan, it's an unplanned meal. Like it's not your chicken and rice. It's not weighed. It's not
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
fat-free
yeah. No,
oil. Like that's what I think people feel guilty
I,
for.
y- yeah, I could totally get how overwhelming it is because if I had like let's say a scheduled off meal planned meal and I would go to Cheesecake Factory, my mind it would take me 3 hours to decide, or I would just order the entire menu because I do not know what I want. So like it's hard it's hard to believe that this would be like how do you even know? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, guilt
I
in a
mean
way is, I mean, just guilt in a way, in just off season in general, I think will come from, I think, again, the stigma that we were talking about before with obviously like when you lose weight, it's looked at as a quote unquote good thing versus when you gain weight, it's looked at as a quote unquote bad thing. So
right,
having these
yes.
foods off plan, I say quote unquote off plan, even though it's in your plan, the foods that you don't regularly have on a day-to-day basis, is that the thing you're scared of? Do you know what I mean? Like that's what you have to try and like ask yourself, I think, sometimes. Like, are you scared of the food because it's not fat free or you don't know how many grams of protein it is? Or do you know what I mean? You have to be okay with that though. I think in off season, that's something that when I started bodybuilding, that was one thing I actually really because I was still very much like social butterfly. Like I like to still go out. I mean, still I'm like that anyway, but I was like, I don't want to lose that. So when I'm in prep, I will be balls to the wall. And then when I'm off prep, I will be my social self. I can do what I want. But when I'm in prep, it's go time. And I've always been like that. So I feel like I've never, not never, because I definitely have had those feelings where I felt guilty for having things off plan and whatnot. But I feel like it's so hard to like, I don't even know. It's hard to like it's hard to get out of those feels. I feel like those guilty feels are hard.
Yeah, because I mean, you either have to like really face it. I think that reminds me of when I came back from the Arnold and I was like literally like in the gym, sitting myself in a chair like this, like forcing myself not to go train. Like I forced myself out of physical activity, like completely like hypertrophy bodybuilding workout for like 2, 3 full weeks, fully, like force myself to. And then at first you feel that guilt, shit, shit, shit. And you start like trying to do like walks and all these things. So I felt it for the training part because but yet like it was a work. Like I worked through the guilt. I felt it like really guilty like the first, 3 days. And then the fourth day I did a little bit, walk. So like that took my mind off a little bit. And then I have to face guilt again. And now facing the guilt of the fact that I haven't trained for like the 5 last days or something. And then it just like kind of accumulate. But one like there's just gonna be one day it's just gonna be like
Mm.
for like people that just feel guilt towards food. Like unless it makes you feel like absolute shit. And like I'm talking like gut issues and like you ate like a whole pound of cheese, like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but there's so much beauty around like just hopefully that meal, that off plan meal, like you enjoy it with like a family member or like someone that you love. Like food is such like a reunion thing, like you like being food focused. Like I get that when we're on prep and on season because we need to eat like every 3 hours, so of course
Yeah.
we become like food focused a little bit more.
It's definitely, I think, especially when it comes to food, like it can go other, well, like one way or the other. Because again, some people don't want to actually have an off-plan meal sometimes. Like they want to stay regimented, they want to stay like in prep. Again, that's nothing, that's not like that's absolutely fine to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, but again, like that's not me for sure. But I like to, be a little
No,
bit more, I
it's not
like to be a little bit more free. And
it's not us. It's
no,
not us for sure.
no, but I feel like again, it's what you make of it. Like we always say this, like it's what prep is what you make of it, and off season is also what you make of it as well. Like if your coach is ordering you to have an off plan meal, there is no reason you should feel guilty for it. And even if he doesn't, you shouldn't also feel guilty for it as well, because there's so many ways that you can obviously work things around and all that type of thing, and you shouldn't feel guilty for having something off plan. I depend again. This is depending on where you're at. If you're in an off season, I feel like that's fine. If you're in prep, obviously different scenario. But if you're having an off plan meal and they've ordered you to do one, even if you're having one in general, you shouldn't feel guilty for it. I think we should really
No.
try and break that stigma of taking off that kind of food focus, kind of like manner and stuff,
Yes.
and making sure you still enjoy life. And obviously, again, you don't have to have food to enjoy life and whatnot. But if you want to have food, like with your partner or with people that you're around, and in that moment you're like, I feel guilty for it. You shouldn't, you know? It's a process though. It's 100% a process.
For sure.
So,
I think I think if I had like one thing to add and to finish that question, if this is something you're going through, like the guilt part, which is like an internalized feeling,
mm,
what if you eat the food, you feel the guilt, but that same day, put yourself into your guilty shoes, your guilty heels, take a picture of yourself and reflect on that a couple of days when you have your mind back and fully, and be really rational and into looking at yourself and be like, wow, I felt guilty for this. Like actually, I look good.
mm,
I felt good. Like my health was good. I like, and then you can be more rational about your feelings. I think that's what I would do.
yeah.
I think I would, put myself out there in a bikini. Okay, I feel guilty. I feel like, I don't know how the picture is gonna look. Don't look at the picture yet. Look when like your guilt and it's like past, and look back and be like, oh,
Yeah.
I was feeling guilty. Or it's like you remember when you're in prep and you're looking at yourself and you're like, I don't feel lean, I don't feel lean, and I'm not gonna be ready. And then you look at yourself and you're like, holy crap, I was so
Yeah. That
lean.
I get so annoyed with myself when I get in that moment, because like, and I last year I forced myself to take pictures of everything, because the year prior to that I didn't, because I was like, not enough, not enough. Like, and I would delete the photos. I'm like, no, like, and I was so annoyed with myself in 2021, 2022. I was like, right, take a picture of fucking everything, and you will look back on that and you'll be like, damn, I was so lean, or damn, I was so whatever. And you'll see the progress you make, but in that moment, the mind games in prep is that's
Unreal.
hard. Yeah, it's unreal. And I think I also like to like take like notes and stuff sometimes. Like when I'm like again, I'm excited to kind of journal this prep because I didn't journal much last year, but I'm excited to journal this prep, see what my thoughts are, and kind of look back and be like, okay, what was my mind at versus like where was my body at? Do you know what I mean? Like, um, another person asked, like, how do you find your purpose again post prep? Which I love that question. I think that's a very good question.
Ooh.
Um, I mean, I am definitely someone that I think I just like to like obviously in recent years, like the last like 2, 3 years, I think this has definitely been where I put my focus somewhere else. Like I'll put my focus on business and put my focus on other things like it's a prep, if that makes sense. Which my therapist has kind of told me to try and allow myself to not have a plan, but try and ease yourself to actually relax. Because he's like, Phoebe, when have you actually had a relax? Like how like this is supposed to be your resting time, right? Like resting, recovering. When have you actually rested? Because regardless, you'll put all of your energy into something else. So you're
Yes.
not burning out, but overworking again. Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
After your prep, when this is supposed to be your recovery phase. So, and that is something I find hard. Like I find myself burning out at the end of a prep, like being completely transparent, burning out at the end of a prep because I'm putting that energy into something else because I'm like, do you know, I need to do something else. I need to, because I'm not in prep anymore. I need to now focus on business and make that really big, or do something else. Like, and it's okay to not have a purpose. That's one thing I'm really learning like this year is it is really okay to not feel like you have to be go, 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 go all the time. That's very hard for me, but I think this year definitely I found it again. And remember I was calling you like I was like, I don't know how I feel. I think this was before the Arnolds and obviously after I
Yes.
dropped out and stuff. But I was like, I don't know like how to feel, like what to do, because like he's telling me to like calm, like not calm down, but like be okay with just being maintenance or low at a low point. Be there, like because you need that time to recover. You need that time to like just be with yourself, not have to focus on others or do things all the time. Don't get me wrong, it's not, it's, I'm very privileged to be able to pick when I work and pick when I, bring things up or not. Some people don't, but that's something I think sometimes post show, you don't always have to have a purpose. And it doesn't always have to be like, oh my God, I need to have a plan for the next 5 years for my competing career. Do you know what I mean? Or the next year of my competing career. It is okay to be level for a little bit whilst you're just gathering your thoughts, because you've just gone through so much in prep. Like, most likely people have done multiple shows. So and they're probably close-ish together. You probably haven't even processed half of that, like whatever you've done. Do you know what I mean? Like, whether you've won a pro show or you've won a show or, last in the show, you haven't processed those emotions at all. Like a week show, post show, 2 weeks post show, even a month. So like, I honestly feel like it's okay to not have a purpose in that very moment in time for at least a few weeks, at least, you know? And
Yeah.
that's taken me so long. That's literally taken me like 7 years to feel okay with that feeling though, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I hope what I'm gonna say makes sense to you. Purpose seems it's something very outside. Like I feel to me like purpose is like a pursuit, like the movie Pursuit of Happiness. How do you say
Pursuit,
that
yeah.
word in
Oh, that's such a good,
pursuit?
yeah.
Purpose, pursuit of happiness. It's something outside of you, which it should be internal. Like
Mm,
take that time to like be there, like internal, like in the inside. Like it shouldn't be a person. It shouldn't be like a reach. Like we're always trying to reach for something. Like it's outside
yes.
of us. Like it's outside of us. Like all of the things outside of us is barely controllable. You can really control what you have inside. So the purpose, like I hate that word.
Pursuit.
Pursue.
Your French is coming out so like oh, I can't even say now. Pursuits, because you're trying to say it as with an American accent. I'm trying to say it with an American accent. Pursuit, pursuit, I'm saying it with my English
Pursuit.
accent. Pursuit.
So purpose and pursuit. Now you were the purpose was to follow a plan and to hopefully bring your best on stage, which it should always be beside you, like a part of you, like I told you on the phone. It's a part of you. It's like a one branch on your tree, but there's a whole thing
Trunk. Yeah.
and rooted, a trunk in the roots, in the ground, which is Phoebe as a whole. And that's why people love you. That's why I love you. That your branch is really cool. That little branch that's like bikini, IFBB Pro, Phoebe Hagen, badass bitch is here. It's great. But once that is like long gone, I fucking still love you. So you better love yourself and your trunk and the water, like the pursuit is like to feed that little branch here. But how do you feed it? It's from the ground up and then they go inside the branch. So like make sure that you like grab, oh my god, my mom. That cookie is good. It's giving me like energy and stuff. So like make sure that you go the pursuit, like just go from within and just be
Yeah.
present with yourself. My God, there's so much to be present. Oh my God, Phoebe, like now I love being home and
Mm.
like do like wifey stuff, what people call wifey shit. I think it's great. I take care of my house. I leave the day. I'm coming here. Like he has his own little meal prep. I have my own. Like I love this now, and I would never think that because my mom was always like, 5 a.m. out the door, Monday through Friday, and then coming back at 8 p.m. And I was like, this is like this is how it should be. But at the end of the day, like now my parents, like they're both retired and they're just really present with themselves. And my mom, at first, she was like looking for what to do, like post retirement. Like, is she gonna get bored? Like, I need to do something. I was like, and then she's slowly calming herself down and coming along with my dad and just be like, let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
And that's how they get together. And I think you probably feel a lot of yourself when you're taking walk with your dad. I love that you brought that up the
I
last
love
time because I
that.
was like, that's probably when you feel the most yourself because you're like, shit, the only thing I can do right now is take one step after another, and I need to be here. And you catch yourself quick when you're walking, but you're not really there, then your dad is going to call you out because
Yeah.
it's like he's going to be like, are you listening to me? Like I don't know if you guys are walking even in silence or whatever, but your mind start wandering and stuff. So I think the purpose, it's something outside. It's okay not to have one, like you said. I think that's a beautiful thing too.
Mm.
But always remembering that it's outside of you. It should never define you as a whole because then it's like the reach of that purpose. Basically, you want to be defined by the reach of that purpose. If you don't reach it, what are you, like, not good enough? Like
Yeah.
not human enough? No, it's outside of you and it just needs to like sometimes shift, sometimes change, sometimes not be there. Like
Sometimes
sometimes
just take a
just
little bit of
chill.
time to figure it
Yeah,
out. Like, and that's so
time to figure
fine.
out.
Like, I feel like post show as well, like sometimes, like, I don't feel like fully myself until like a few months post show because you've obviously just put your body through all of that. Like, it's a lot that we put our bodies through. So it's okay to not feel like 100% or have a purpose or feel like there's much going on. Like, I don't think that's like a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's good to be able to have time to yourself and just time to be in that kind of limbo phase where you're like, I'm figuring it out. If you want to have a routine where you're going to the gym, you're doing your cardio, that's fine. If there's no external purpose apart from that, that's absolutely fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel
I
like
think
it's okay.
it's so strong. Not only is it okay, but I think it's so strong. Like someone
Yeah.
who's just very present and I see them every day when they come inside the gym. These girls, they don't compete, but they train like mother effort, like insane. And I'm like, dude, it's only like Tuesday, like 9 a.m. Like, what are you gonna, and they're just gonna go back home to their kids. And I'm just like, wow, like that's a freaking woman.
Yeah.
Like that's a man. Like just this is my thing for an hour, clock in, clock out, give themselves the best time of their life of that training, and then they go back to their business, whatever it might be. no competing in sight, never competed before. They're just, their purpose is life,
Yeah.
living life a lot. And that's what I'm doing. That's the episode of my life. You know, someone asked me the question, was like, what episode are you on? Living life a lot. So the first thing we would say, it's like off season,
Yeah, that's your identity.
right?
It's because we're athletes, it's like in season, off season, in season, off season. That's all we
Yep.
ever think about. And obviously now I honestly only say off season because that's what people identify at like this phase as. But I'm just living life. Like I'm just, I mean, all the time you're living life anyway, but right now I'm just doing life. That's what I'm doing. I feel like we need to change that phrase. Let's change off season to doing life instead of off season. Because I feel like it's just that's more relatable because we are like we shouldn't I say we shouldn't. We shouldn't always feel like we have to put a label on where we're at in life. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's where the purpose of where we feel like we need to be comes from, in a way. Does that make sense? Like, oh, we're in off season. Right. When's the next time I'm competing? Okay, right. I need to make the most out of
Yeah.
this off season, which again, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing if you do this either. But I think sometimes the pressure of that can make you feel not good enough constantly. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, I need to be doing this. If you do one thing wrong, I'm a worthless piece of shit. I'm this. And I'm saying this because I've done it myself. Like, I've had that where I've been so consistent with everything. I go off plan for one thing or go off because life has happened. And I'm like, I'm a piece of shit. I've done this. This is so bad.
Uh-huh.
And it's
Yep.
so hard mentally to talk to yourself like that constantly
So crazy.
because
Yep.
because
Yep.
you're just doing things that aren't 100%. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying flip the switch and be like, I'm going to be lazy and I'm going to do this and this and I'm not going to care and because obviously that's not going to get you to where you need to be. If you have goals that you want to do, that's fine, but don't pressure yourself too much for it to be perfect all the time because I feel like when you do that, that's where I feel like mentally it just gets harder every single time. If you are like everything needs to be perfect every single day, I need to have a purpose with what I'm doing every single day. One, it takes the enjoyment out of it, and two, it doesn't always go to plan. Like it doesn't. So, and when it doesn't go to plan, you talk to yourself like utter crap, and you don't want to put
I
yourself
mean,
through that.
if there was an Olympia champion, like multi-title holder, and tells me that every day of his life he woke up with the same purpose, and that is what caused him or her to win shows, then it's proven. But it's not. So like, get yourself out of there. Live life a lot because there's beautiful things. Gosh, like you said, when you're off season, you're not off season because you saying off season, you're still there. Like you're still like allowing yourself to be like in that zone of bodybuilding.
That is also
And
okay. That is also okay to have that bodybuilding mentality as well, but it to not suffocate you all the time.
yes, exactly. I'm saying like I get exactly where you're coming from, and what I'm saying, I care about bodybuilding. I love
Okay.
body. I care about bodybuilding because I love bodybuilding, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I allow myself to like love bodybuilding, and I'm not forced to it. It's not part of my identity. It's something, again, like loving and caring is for something outside of you. Like I care and I love bodybuilding because I choose bodybuilding because I love bodybuilding. That's it. But when I'm gonna stop choosing bodybuilding, I'm not gonna be less of a person because I don't choose bodybuilding anymore. I might choose Pilates. I might choose like skydiving. I don't freaking know. But for now in my life, I choose bodybuilding. And within me choosing bodybuilding and still choosing bodybuilding, maybe for like the next 2 years of my life, well, I'm in the season of choosing to live life a lot while choosing bodybuilding. While you just create your own little um mixed little, like, medley, like whatever trail mix. Yeah, create your own little
Oh,
trail mix,
yeah.
a little trail mix, like, little trail mix bodybuilding. Like, I have bodybuilding, I have my foodies, I have my family,
Oh, I
like
get
I have my
you.
dog.
You make
Yeah,
your
yeah,
own
create.
trail mix out of your own life. So you have, yeah, that makes,
Yes.
I was like, why is she talking about trail mix?
Yeah.
I don't know. That makes sense. No, I think that actually is a very good analogy. Like, there obviously in trail mix, there's so many different things in there. Do you know what I mean? Like, bodybuilding doesn't just have to be one of them. A good example as well. You don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. Like, like bodybuilding isn't the only egg in your basket. There's so many other things. So I feel
Yeah.
like that purpose sometimes doesn't need to just be bodybuilding. It can be something else, or it doesn't have to be anything. You shouldn't put too much pressure on it. I personally feel.
Yeah. And it could be like, the trail mix in your head, and you decide whatever that trail mix is. And once you had enough of that trail mix, you can just throw it away, create a new trail mix, or just throw like pieces that you don't want, keep the pretzels, keep the M&Ms, and then you just add different things to it, you
This
know?
cookie today is giving you all different ideas and your energy, and I fucking love it. It's so good. One of the other questions I just had to shout out anyway was Aldo, and he said, "I love you, baby, Lauralie." So with a little smiley face, so you went on our little page. I had to shout that out. Look, you getting all smitten, you're like smiling. You're so cute. Um,
I'm blushing.
you're
I'm
blushing.
blushing.
That was really good though. I mean, it's very true. I feel like it's hard. Um, Another one is like, how do you feel? Do you feel like slowly changing your food? Like, how do you change your mindset going back in, like going off? Sorry, how do you change your mindset from having different foods in your off season again? I mean, we kind of covered that as well. Like how do you change your mindset from, maybe being a little bit more stricter in your diet? I mean, because I know I have like things to work towards, it doesn't bother me in a way. I'm like, okay, I know I need to flip the switch. So I'm that's just it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's let's go time. Like, once I know that I need to be more on it with things, or like, right, okay, it's time to take this out or do this. I'm like, okay, cool, let's go. Sometimes though, I'm not ready. Like, there's sometimes where I'm not ready and I don't feel like, oh God, I kind of want to keep that in. And it makes a difference, but you have to just suck it up. Like, if you're
Suck it
working
up. Yep.
like I feel like, well, this is going into a prep per se, like going into a prep from an off season. I feel like with those changes, you have to just accept those changes. You know what I mean? Like, and it will get easier as time goes on. But I feel like maybe transitioning from a prep into an off season, like those foods, like having different foods. I mean, we spoke about this, I think, in our last podcast. Finding the foods that work best for you is key instead of just having everything because you can. I mean,
Yeah.
because it can just like make you feel shit as well. Do you know what I mean? Like with bloating and different, types of foods, and because you've had like probably plainer foods and stuff like that, but also don't be afraid of it. Um, I feel like that's very important to kind of remember, is like to understand to not be afraid of it for sure, like with changing up your foods and stuff like that.
Wanted to add to what you just said about the sucking up part. The sport is art. Like, it's not an easy sport. I don't know why people are trying to make it like easier, like all the time. It's like finding things to get easier. There's like, no, try to make it easy. There's a way to make it easier, but it's never going to be easy. And in your best abilities, you make little tweaks to make you a little bit happier and like little easier, but it's never going to be bagel with cream cheese. You understand?
These fucking food analogies are cracking me up. But it's true. It is true. It is true.
Like, the sport is difficult. It's a shitload of fucking sacrifices, but here we are. It makes us great, and it makes you, damn, you learn a lot on yourself when you make those sacrifices. You have, like, I haven't had my birthday party cake for a very long time. I I said no to my grandma's pie so many times. Like, there's a lot of sacrifices, like daily sacrifice that you do make, but God, we're so blessed to do what we do
Yeah.
because look at us. Like look at us now, Phoebe. Like, look at you and I being friends. Like, we met through like bodybuilding. It's crazy. Like, I was talking to like one of the girl in the gym, and she's like, "Where did you like met Phoebe?" And I'm like, "Shit, like, freaking bodybuilding brought
Mm.
me like brought me friendship, brought me like tears and joys and like the heartbreak and the struggles." But damn, it made me question myself. It made me, God, you struggle, you're tired, you push through it. the days that like you're for sure believing you're about to die.
Yeah.
Like
You're
you're like, I'm not,
struggling. Struggling.
you're like, there's no way I'm gonna make it through this cardio. You're like, there's no way. You see the stars, like it's not happening, but you make it through. You're like, and you go to bed and you're doing all over again the next day. You're like, well, I'm either insane or like really doing this thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, just embrace the struggle, I
Yeah.
guess.
I mean, I've always said, like I've said this for so long, is prep is a privilege, not a sacrifice. And I do feel like that statement stands so much. Like I do think that
I like
sometimes,
that.
especially when we're trying to make things easier or do things a different way to like try and, make it easy, we do forget that we choose to do this sometimes. I feel like that we're like, oh, I'm trying to make it easier. It's really hard. Like it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be difficult, and we've
It's
chosen to do this challenge. So suck it up and get it done. Do you know what I mean? Like I think obviously like you said, there's ways to make it easier, but it's never going to be easy, 100%. Um, so I think that's a very good place to end it. I know everyone's going to be like, no more, because literally, oh my God, so many people have been like, can you do 2 hours? I'm like, oh, it's 9:30 at night for me. I haven't had my last meal and I need to go to bed. Like, but
you need to go.
I love
I
you
love.
guys that you want to obviously hear from us more. And I mean, we probably, you know, maybe one episode we'll do like a 4 hour episode where we just don't shut up. So you guys can actually just keep us going. But like we always say, obviously, thank you guys for watching and make sure you please like, subscribe, comment. We love hearing from you. It makes us like, it makes my day. Like, there's so many comments and like, right back to responses. People like, love this. And I'm like, oh, it's so cute. But like we said, this is
It's so
literally, I
amazing.
know. I think we've
Like
almost got 10,000 downloads as well. We haven't even released episode 5. We've almost got
it's
10,000 downloads. And
it's
that's
so
just on
crazy.
Spotify, just on like Spotify, iTunes, that type of thing. So thank you guys, like a lot. Like it's really cool to
It's
see
it's so
everything going
awesome.
on. I love that.
Every time someone comes in and like, I watch your podcast, I'm like, it hits me different. It's not the same when someone like, oh, I watch your YouTube all the time. I'm like, okay, but I think podcasts is like it's literally just me talking and my voice. Like someone is listening to my voice in their car. I'm
I
like,
know. That's so
I'm freaking
personal.
out.
It's so
It's
personal.
so it's
And
so
my
personal.
favorite thing is like when people are like, "You guys feel like I'm like your friends. Like I'm just having like a cup of tea with my friends." So I'm like, I love that. That's the vibe. That's the vibe. The
That's
vibe
a
checks out.
vibe.
That's what we want. So, but yeah, like we said, thank you guys. We love you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next episode.